Alright, today we're going to draw this wrench from the ITEA curriculum for OnShape. This is number 232. I don't think, according to their curriculum, you're really supposed to draw this, but we're going to draw it anyway. There's a few dimensions that are missing. One in particular is the thickness of the closed end of the wrench here. We're just going to make that a 1/4 inch. There is a small bevel or curve to the end of that as well, so it's rounded off, and we're going to try to replicate that as well. So let's get started with this thing. I'm going to jump over to OnShape. I already have my document opened up here. I'm going to start from the top view, and I'm going to make that open end first. So let's start off with a circle. And it looks like we have a radius of 0.394. So I want to double that. Just going to be really close to 0.8. .788, I think is what that's supposed to be. I'll have to check that with a calculator later, but I think that's right. Alright, so for now we have a circle for that outside diameter. Actually, you know what? Scratch that. We're not going to do it that way. I got a better idea. Let's make a sketch from the front. So rather than try to draw the closed end as a circle, I'm going to actually draw this as a revolve. So I want this to be 0.25 tall. So let me zoom in a little bit here. And for now, I'm just going to draw a rectangle. And then I want to add that bevel to the outside of this that I was talking about. So let's do an arch. 3-point arch sounds good. And I'm going to make the radius also 0.25 because that just looks good. Because again, that dimension is not in the plans. I'm just trying to come up with something that looks like an actual wrench. The dimension that we do have is this radius of 0.394. So I don't have to guess now. I know what it is. And then this dimension, I'm going to guess, is 0.25. So from there, I'm going to delete this line because I don't actually need it. And then I'm going to set the top and bottom lines to be equal. So that turns everything black and fully defined. Now we're going to revolve that. So finish my sketch, revolve, click, select the revolve axis, click the center point here, and I've got kind of what looks like a wheel or a tire, and we're going to green check mark that. So now I have what looks like the open end of the wrench minus the openness. And now we need to create basically this 12-point figure right here in our detail view. So let's do that next. Jump back over there. So I'm going to create a sketch right on the top there. And I'm going to use my polygon tool. Now there's a inscribed or a circumscribed polygon. And the difference is circumscribed is basically going to base this off of a radius or diameter of a circle, which is going to be on the outside. Inscribed, the circle is on the inside. So we know that our wrench is for a 1/2 inch bolt. So we want the inside or the flat sides of our polygon to be a 1/2 inch away from each other. So we're going to use this one, inscribed. So I click the center point and I'm just going to drag this out. And we want the number to be 6. I'm going to make this top horizontal so that I know it's straight across there. And I'm going to set the circle to that 1/2 inch, 0.5. Now that's if we had a 6-sided wrench, but this is a 12-point wrench. It says right here 12-point broach for the 1/2 inch. So we have to do another hexagon. Now at first glance you might think, oh, I'll just do a 12-sided shape. Well, it doesn't really work. At least I don't think so. So yeah, I find it easier if I just do 2 of these polygons. So we're going to click 6 sides again, and then for this one I'm going to make the side of it vertical, and that's going to make sure that it's perfectly centered with the other one. And now we've got our holes there that we have to do. Now I could go ahead and cut this right here, but I'd have to select all these little triangles and shapes and stuff, and that gets annoying. So I'm going to go ahead and trim all that stuff out first, which is also a little annoying, but you can start to see that taking its 12-sided shape. Just be careful you're not deleting the wrong part. Or I should say trimming the wrong part. Trim, 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 trim. Trim, 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 trim. Alright, so far that should not have been too difficult yet. So we are going to go ahead and extrude, but we're doing a remove, and we want to select that weird shape. And we could just do a blind, or we could say through all, or up to next, or whatever. I'm just going to say through all, so it goes all the way to the other surface, and check mark. Now I have the open end of my wrench. Ta-da! Looks pretty solid. On the diagram, it does kind of look like this part should be thinner. So if I go back to my first sketch here, I made this 0.394. I really should have went from the outside of my arch. So I'm going to delete that real quick and change that dimension from there to there and make that 0.394. If you left it the other way, I'm not going to get that picky about it, honestly, but that's going to make that just a little bit thinner and look a little more realistic. Alright, so for now, we have an open end of a wrench. Okay, nothing too crazy going on yet. It's all sort of stuff that we have done before. I'm going to go back to my top view, actually, and I want to make a sketch over here somewhere. So I'm lining up my origin point, and I'm going to draw a circle. I'll come back and edit this later, but for now I just want another solid shape here, and I'll explain why in a second. So I'm just extruding this disc the same. Oh no, this is not a 1/4 inch. It gives us a dimension for that. It's 0.123. So there it is. That's going to end up being the open end of the wrench in just a little bit, but for now, there it is. We're almost at 10 minutes already, so we got to pick up the pace here a little bit. Oh, I need to change the direction of my extrusion. Let's flip that. Go that way. There we go. Because we want at least the top or the bottom of those to be on the same plane, or it's going to get weird later. It may still get weird, I don't know. Yeah, I probably should have did that from the bottom, but whatever. So we're going to take this and transform it, or put it on an angle, because that's the hardest part of this whole thing, is doing the angle. So if we look at this, the open end of the wrench is slanted, or sloped, and it says 165 degrees. From geometry class, you know that a straight line is 180 degrees. So that means if this is already sitting on a straight line, we need to move it 15 degrees, because 165 plus 15 equals 180. So we got to tilt this thing or rotate it 15 degrees. So let's go back here. There's a transform button. It should be somewhere in your tools. If not, it should be next to your wrap. So I'm going to select this piece, and there's options here. There's a little drop-down menu. You can translate by all kinds of different things, or you can just rotate. So I'm going to rotate, and it wants an axis. So pretty much any straight line that is in the direction of the rotation you want, basically this one or this one, we can select to make it rotate around. You could have also made a construction line somewhere to rotate around. That would have been more precise. But for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to grab one of these. Whoops, not that one. That was not the line I wanted. Get rid of that. I want this one right here. And you can see it's already taking the right direction that we want. But we don't want 30 degrees. We want 15. If it, for whatever reason, slopes down like this, just hit this arrow and it will go the other direction. So that should work out for you that way. So green check mark, and we're good to go there. As far as the open end of the wrench goes, I feel like I'm jumping all over the place here. If we want this to be in the middle of that, we probably have to offset this extrusion down some. So let's go back to that extrusion 2. Let's do a starting offset. And this is 0.25 and this is 0.123, or basically half of that. So let's do a starting offset of like 0.6. Should be about right. 0.06, sorry, 0.06. And that's going to be about the midpoint of where that was originally. So now when I extend this all the way across, I should be able to connect those two. So this will become our open end of the wrench. So we go back to sketch 3 where we drew the circle. We can actually start to add in some of the elements of the open end, which I might actually do as a whole separate video because we're running kind of long here. So that's how you do the closed end with the tilt and the translate. That's probably the hardest part of this. This part gets a little complicated as well, but for now, let's just call it a video right there with that piece. And this is 2.3.2.